Breaking the mold, how to stand out in the casual and diverse culture of tech companies. In this presentation, I'm going to show you how to present yourself. So, I want to talk a little bit about the competitive nature of tech companies. I want to talk a little bit about how you can leverage your unique background. Diversity and inclusion is a huge topic of discussion at tech companies. You'll find people of all walks and backgrounds at tech companies that you wouldn't typically see in other industries. I also want to chat about being casual versus overly professional. What I have found is that a lot of people take these interviews and conversations that they have with tech companies way too seriously. Tech companies are super laid back, at least in comparison to other industries out there. And so I want to help guide you through all of this so that you have a clear understanding of how to approach them. Because think of it like this: you approach a stranger and you approach them by being overly serious when really like they're in a fun mood, you're gonna totally kill the vibe, right? Same thing here throughout the interviewing process with tech companies. I want you to approach them with the right vibe, the right tonality, so that they welcome you in with open arms. That's it. That's what I want to do here. So, as you may know, the tech industry is one of the fastest growing. It's lucrative. That's why we're here, right? We want to make money. We want to be successful. But where newcomers face a little bit of difficulty is that they don't know how to position themselves. So, what I mean by that is it's not your lack of experience or your lack of knowledge or lack of skills that's going to hurt you. Remember, this is an entry level role. We're breaking into tech sales, and so the the set of skills that you need and the set of knowledge that you need isn't anything advanced. You're going to learn a lot on the job, and so if that's the case, what's going to potentially hold you back here in your journey? It's going to be the fact that you don't know how to position yourself and explain yourself in a way that's easily consumed. I want you to be like a pill that's easy to swallow. You just go right down. And so that's what we're going to cover today. Fun fact is that tech companies are not corporate at all. Like at all. They are not corporate. I have worked in government agencies. I had an internship in college at one of California's largest government agencies. Literally hundreds of cubicles. It was gnarly. That was a very corporate environment. Suit and tie every day. You better show up in suit and tie. And on Fridays, if we were lucky, the boss would be like, okay, you guys can wear jeans today, but you still have to wear a tie. But overall, that there's a lot of environments like this where if you don't show up dressed up, you're gonna get a talk. Tech is not like that. I'm gonna get into it here in a second. I want to chat about the competitive nature of tech companies. Um, you have to understand the majority of tech companies are not humongous. Yes, there's a lot of big tech companies out there: Apple, Amazon, Salesforce, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, but these are behemoths. They're huge. A lot of tech companies are kind of on the smaller side or medium sized businesses. And a lot of tech companies are also trying to work towards profitability, meaning that they receive funding from venture capitalists that are betting on them. They're giving them, these venture capitalists are giving tech companies their money so that these tech companies can go and invent and innovate and create the product that they're out there trying to create. And then if they get lucky, this product goes viral, everyone loves it, everyone buys it, and now the tech company gets profitable, and the company that funded them, the venture capitalists that funded them, also get rich. And so, but because of this nature, this relationship between the venture capital firm and the tech company, we need to make magic happen, and we need to make magic happen quickly. That is the nature of tech companies. And so they have to be smart about who they hire, because it is the lifeline, the lifeblood of the business. Top talent and high potential employees means that they're going to be highly competitive, and they're going to crush their competition. And so without good talent on the team, it's like sports. Without good talent, you're just going to lose, and no one makes money. Everyone suffers as a result. Think of Apple. Think of any of your favorite innovative technology out there. Do you think that they've got schmucks on their team? Or do you think they went out of their way to really hire the brightest people, the most ambitious people, positive people, people who are looking to get their hands dirty? It's the latter. They're trying to hire the best because they have to. Now, this isn't a bad thing. I don't want to say all of this to discourage you and be like, well, if you're not the most competitive person in the room, you better get the heck out. It's not what I'm saying. By the way, I don't even identify as competitive. I just love to work, and I love to be challenged, and I like to work on interesting things. But I am by no means the most competitive person in the room. It is a good thing that they are competitive, because it means that they don't necessarily always hire the person with the best qualifications. Believe it or not, they don't always care if you went to an Ivy League. They don't care if you came from sales and sold millions of dollars. Sometimes they just want somebody who wants to be a part of, genuinely wants to be a part of something great, and is willing to contribute towards that mission and succeed. This is also why tech companies pay what they pay. They pay well. They want to attract the best and the brightest people, and they're not going to be the best, the next Apple or the next Amazon or the next Microsoft, if they're paying their employees pennies. It's also why they really want to take care of you and treat you better, and treat you well. I am not exaggerating when I say this. It's very common for a tech company to offer you unlimited vacation. And of course, no one actually goes on unlimited vacation. I get unlimited vacation. I take maybe 20 days of vacation a year. But it's there if you want it. And what they're really trying to convey is that, hey, go take care of yourself. Like, they don't want you working all day. Work-life balance is a huge value in the tech industry. So is working from home. So is, they don't want you commuting 3 hours a day if it makes you unhappy, and it makes you a crap worker. They say, hey, work remotely. And by the way, here's a laptop so that you can work from this badass new laptop and work from home. They give you things like gym stipends and learning stipends. In other words, they treat you well so that they can win and you win too. If you're taken care of, they're taken care of too. Again, I really like the sports analogy here, because you have to treat your your team and your sport, sorry, your athletes well, or they just don't perform. So very similar in tech companies. But again, this is why they can't afford to make a bad hire. A weak team equals weak talent equals weak product equals death, basically. And so this competitive nature of the tech companies actually provides us with a win-win scenario, where they treat us really well, they pay us really well, but in return, they get the best of us as well. We show up as the best version of ourselves. The other unique thing here about tech companies, and give me a second, I've got to drink some water. But the unique thing about the tech industry is how diverse it can be. For example, let's say you walk into a taqueria. What do you see? You usually see a bunch of Latinos, men, working at the restaurant. Or let's take, for example, firefighting or law enforcement. Most of it is men. There's diversity in terms of, color. You see different races, but most are men. And so a lot of industries out there, a lot of old school industries, a lot of blue collar industries like construction, let's say, it's all, mostly men, or there's not much diversity. And that's really not the case at tech companies. Um, Tech companies are diverse. They love the different perspectives. They love people from different backgrounds. And so tech companies really tend to have a more progressive feel to them. And I want to make this point the reason I'm making this point is because really I want you to lean in on your on how different you are. So if you come from a diverse background, I want you to lean into that. I don't want you to feel shame or insecurity because you don't have a traditional um, tech or sales background or Ivy League background that you'll often actually see in the tech industry. And so it is okay if you don't have that. And I want you to lean into it. Diversity is a huge value for tech companies because it leads to innovative products. If they have a diversity of thoughts and opinions, then it means that they're going to have a more well-rounded product, and there's not going to be any red flags in it. And so, for example, if you're a candidate, you should highlight the unique background throughout your interview process. For example, if you're a candidate that has experience working with underserved communities, share this. Share about how this experience helped you better understand people and how using this is going to help you better understand your customers and support your customers here at the tech firm. So lean into it. Examples of diversity. I have seen so many different types of people from all walks of life be able to successfully break into tech sales and break into the tech industry in general. The tech industry actually hires diversity and inclusion leaders to join their leadership team to help them make their teams more diverse. They don't want just dudes running the whole show. They don't want just white men at the top. They want people from all different walks of life because it's going to give them that competitive edge, as opposed to everyone thinking the same way, approaching problems the same way. That's really not how you gain a competitive edge in the tech industry, and tech companies recognize that. So examples of diversity, I really just want you to think about this and hopefully inspire you to think about ways that you are unique and how you can bring that to the table. So race obviously is a big one: Black, brown, Native American, etc. Military, veteran status, that's huge. I see that I have seen tech companies actually have quotas for hiring folks that come from the military or veteran. They want to hire more. Law enforcement and firefighting, any blue collar work, manual work, construction. I actually worked for a construction tech company. We would very, 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 very actively hunt and scout for high performing top talent out of the construction industry that had zero experience working in the tech industry. So we would hire them and bring them in and have them help us with sales, and we would train them up. And then that's how they pivoted into the tech industry. And so if you're coming from blue collar work, that's actually a form of diversity here. Educators and teachers, I have seen a lot of educators break into tech sales. They are incredible at educating customers and supporting customers. I find that educators and teachers have a unique personality where people just love them. And so they tend to be a really good fit for tech companies. Any other type of sales background, so if you're not traditionally coming from tech, so retail, insurance, real estate, I've seen business owners who took a break from the workforce, try to start their own thing, and then fail, but then come back and join the tech industry with the business knowledge that they have. Fun example, I even helped a musician try to break into tech sales. This is a guy who basically all he's been doing the last few years is trying to jumpstart his band and go viral and hopefully make it as a band member. But he ended up not really hitting the stride that he needed to live on that income. And so he looked to break into this tech industry, used his internet marketing skills and viral skills to try to, and use that to sell himself during the interview process. And so these are all examples. I've even personally brought up my own upbringing as a first generation, low income Latino. It was, I ended up getting thrown into the gangbanging life at an early age. And I sometimes talk about that throughout my interviewing process because it actually shows how I can persevere against all odds and come out winning and make a better situation for myself. In other words, what I'm really trying to say here is that mostly anything can be spun up and played into this diversity and inclusion angle. There's a typo here. It's not anger, it's angle. And so being able to explain how your unique background is a benefit, that's going to be a huge win for you. I want you to lean into your background. Lastly, what do all these images have in common? I guarantee you can't guess it. I guarantee it. Aside from they're all men, all white. That's not what I'm trying to get at here. Speaking of diversity and inclusion, look, they're all casual. Look at what they're wearing. These folks are all tech CEOs: Amazon, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Tesla, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, Steve Jobs, Apple. Look at his shirt. He's wearing a turtleneck and jeans without a belt. Mark Zuckerberg is notorious for wearing a hoodie at all times. Elon Musk usually wears just a t-shirt and jeans. And this is Jeff Bezos, arguably the richest man in the world, wearing polo jeans and a vest. These guys aren't wearing a suit and tie. You can Google this. Basically, all of their media appearances are them dressed just like this, casually. And that's what I want to drill home. This is really my last point here. Being casual versus being overly professional. It's really tech companies, again, they tend to have a way more casual environment. And so, of course, you want to show up as your best self. You don't want to show up with things between your teeth, food between your teeth, hair messy, looking like you haven't slept in 5 days. Room, is all messy when you're on a Zoom meeting, a Zoom interview. Look, you got to show up as your best self, no question about that. But you can also be casual. Be casual, be polished. I recommend actually that as you start interviewing, you start to look up the website of the company and their values and their mission and get a sense about what they care about. Get a sense of their tone. How do they present themselves publicly on their website? What's their tone on social media? You'll get a sense of how they are as a company, and if they're super casual and fun, or if they tend to lean more professional and corporate. This is something that you're going to have to play by ear. Again, most companies are going to lean on the spectrum of casual, but I have had talks with a few tech companies that are a little bit more on the corporate side. And so just get a sense for it. You'll get a sense of it real quick in your first conversation with the recruiter, and then adjust your approach based on what you find. Example of casual and polished tonality. This is going to become really important as you structure your interview answers and explain yourself, right? I want you to be eloquent, like, of course, be polished, but I also want you to be casual and be yourself. That's the sweet spot here with tech companies. So in most, I want to give you a personal story. My sister, I have actually mentored her and helped her make a few career pivots, negotiate raises, things like that. She's an accountant and she works in a very old school industry where it is very corporate. And she was doing a few applications for tech companies just to get a feel of, whether or not it'd be a good fit for her. And I asked her to role play with me, and give me an answer to a question that she was going to be asked during the interview process. And her answer was just like super politically correct and polished and political. I'm sorry, not political, corporate. She threw all kinds of corporate jargon in there. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know this side of you existed. Like it was like she started talking another language, and it was like corporate jargon language. And I want you to drop that. I don't want you, that is not necessary. And in fact, that'll actually kill your chances of succeeding for job interviews with tech companies. And so I want you to approach these conversations with a more casual tone. So, normies are going to do what they do. They want to impress. And so they're going to go ahead and try to speak with corporate jargon. They're going to use big words that they never ever use in real life just to try to impress these companies. And again, that is the wrong approach here. You want to do it. You want to be casual and polished. Look at the response here on the bottom. Achievement driven, yet a structured response. Have fun with it. Yeah. Yup. Great question. When I first started, I basically, my job was to keep customers happy. That's it. So one of the things I did was I'd call the customers after their order arrived, just make sure everything was good. And sometimes things were tough. Like, oh my God, I can't wait to wrap up today. I just want to have a glass of wine and that's it. But, through being able to follow up with my clients, I was ultimately able to become one of the top performers on my team. And in fact, my boss even sent me a big bottle of champagne for my wedding, which a lot of people found hard to believe because my boss tends to be pretty stiff, pretty professional, doesn't really talk much. And so notice how that answer is like personable, talking about champagne. I'm using expressions like, oh my God. I'm saying things like, yup, right? And yet I'm casual bragging here and successfully throwing in achievements, successfully throwing in statistics and metrics to sell myself. So I'm being casual, but I'm also being deadly in the way that I explain myself and throw in achievements. And so polished, really all it means is don't cuss, no, try to keep slang to a minimum, and that's it, and show your personality. So yeah, that's all I want to say here. Look, casual, not corporate. Err on the side of business casual if you feel like it, but you'll get a sense of it real quick. Tech companies are super welcoming, super warm, super nice. They tend to be casual as opposed to stiff, not corporate. If you can keep that in mind and embrace the unique background that you have, and try to lean into that diversity and inclusion angle that tech companies are gonna that tech companies really like embrace and love and want, you're gonna win.